Okay, let's try that again. Y'all can come back on in. I'm gonna give you time to come back in. Come on back in, family. And because I'm doing this with my phone, and of course it's time to upgrade, and that will be happening shortly. Just to let y'all know, upgrades will be happening shortly, so please bear with us at this time. We will not be going through this forever. But y'all can come back on in, family. It's just time to get to the lesson. And shalom, shalom. Come on back in. Come on, I'm gonna give y'all some time to come back in before we start. Give me for the inconvenience, family. We will be doing upgrades that is coming up soon. Because we can't keep going through this, right? Got to get the whole message. So, today's lesson, we can go ahead and start. So, today's lesson, we're going to get into true friendship, brothers and sisters. And what I've come to realize is that we actually, we don't put friendship at a higher level. We don't put friendship at a level that we should. Shalom, shalom, sis. And the friendship that was discussed in the Bible, brothers and sisters, it supersedes what we've imagined for all this time. It's getting to the point where sometimes it seems like it's impossible to find these type of people, right? And then what I also noticed, the reason why I did this lesson, brothers and sisters, is I noticed that we've got a lot of division within the body of Christ. It's a lot of division. And it can only be division if you're not following the way of Christ, right? It can only be division because of that. It shouldn't be division because of doctrine. It shouldn't be division because what camp you go to. None of that should matter, right? We should all be striving to try to be friends with one another. Now, of course, we're all going to click up. I hate to use that term, but it's reality. We're all going to click up with certain people that we feel connected to the most. That is a given, right? But we should all be friendly one towards another. We should all be trying to strive to love one another, brothers and sisters, and that is the totality of walking this walk. Love, humility, charity, all of these things. But we're going to get more specifically into the friendship aspect, and then we're going to bring in examples to show you what you should strive to when it comes to friendship, brothers and sisters, right? So, we're going to start this at Colossians, the 3rd chapter. So, we're going to kick this off with the type of mentality that, before you even think about getting a friend, brothers and sisters, the type of mentality that you should come with before you even meet that person, right? Because you have to show yourself friendly. You might as well get ready before the friend comes, right? So, Colossians, the 3rd chapter. Colossians, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start this at verse 12. Colossians, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start this at verse 12. Shalom to all that came in. Shalom to you. Colossians, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start this at verse 12. And verse 12 reads, Put on therefore as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. So, brothers and sisters, if you don't have these characteristics a part of you, if they're not a part of you, if they haven't become second nature, how do you expect to have friends? And I'm talking about real friends, right? So you gotta off back come off with bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering. See, these are some of the characteristics, right? Verse 13, forbearing one another and forgiving one another. And any relationship you have, brothers and sisters, in order for, we're all human beings. We're all going to make mistakes. we're all going to offend each other at some point in time, even if you don't think you did offend that person, right? So you got to have forgiveness in your heart. Forgiveness, and you got to duke it out with them, especially if they show themselves to be a friend. You wanna go the mile with this friend. You wanna show them that you're willing to have these characteristics and apply them to y'all relationship as they should with you, right? They should reciprocate that same energy, right? Let us continue. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye, right? So, of course, Christ is our friend. He is the ultimate friend, brothers and sisters, right? And so if he can forgive you for the things that you've done to him, then you surely can forgive somebody else that done something to you, brothers and sisters, right? Because otherwise, how can you expect to be forgiven, right? That's a given, right? Let us continue. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. So you definitely need to have charity, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, kindness, bowels of mercy. You see all these characteristics that you must have in order to show yourself as a true friend, brothers and sisters. Then you have to forbear one another and forgive one another, right? And as hard as that is for some people, this is what the Bible is teaching us, brothers and sisters, right? So now let's get to the meat of everything. Let's go to Job, the 2nd chapter. So remember, you got to have these qualifications to show yourself to even be a friend. Because if you don't have these qualifications, brothers and sisters, what are you doing? Right? Why would somebody want to be a friend to you if you don't have these qualifications, right? Why do you expect somebody to be a friend to you, or why do you accept them as a friend to you without these qualifications, right? Job, the 2nd chapter. Job, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 11. Job, the 2nd chapter, and we are going to start at verse 11. Job 2 and 11. Now, we're going to get into now Job when he's dealing with affliction and things of that nature, and all these things have happened to Job, brothers and sisters, and then his friends came to comfort him, but there were some things that they did right, but then at the end of the day, they end up dropping the ball on it, right? And these are going to be some things that you shouldn't do as a friend, brothers and sisters, because you don't know the affliction that we suffer in life. You don't know why it's happening, brothers and sisters. And you can't just go out there and call, you must have did this, so that's why this is happening to you. That's not necessarily the case, right? And it goes back to the old saying, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all, brothers and sisters, right? If it's not going to edify or get this person out of the bad behavior that they're doing, just to keep it real with, keep it real with your friend, open rebuke. If it's not about that, brothers and sisters, constructive criticism, then don't say nothing at all, right? But that's not what Job's friends is going to do, about to do, which we're about to see, right? Job 2 and verse 11. Job 2 and verse 11. The first scripture, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, but the first scripture was Colossians 3:12-17. For anybody that didn't get that, Colossians 3:12-17. And now we are at Job, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 11. No problem, sis. Job, the 2nd chapter, and verse 11. And verse 11 reads, Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came everyone from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Neamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. Now, they started off with the right idea, brothers and sisters, right? your friend going through affliction, especially in Job's case, his children died, he lost his business, he lost property, he lost all of these things that actually made him stable in his life, and especially his children. Now I want to point this out. You got to be it's got to be something wrong with you to do what Job's friends did, knowing that his children died. I be thinking about stuff like that, right? His children died, and they're going to respond to him like this. So now you're going to understand why the Lord had punished them, or was about to punish them until he gave them a way out, right? So now, once again, brothers and sisters, just put it in your mind when we go through this, that this man's children died. That's one of the biggest afflictions you can ever suffer in life, right? His children died. So like I said, they started off right. They came to him to mourn with him and to comfort him. This is what your friends are supposed to do, right? Verse 12. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent every one his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great, right? So like I said, once again, they started off right, brothers and sisters. And there's sometimes when you're sitting down mourning with your friend, when you're mourning and comforting your friend, sometimes, brothers and sisters, answer is not necessary sometimes, right? Even if they're venting. Sometimes I notice that people, they will vent to you, but they don't want to hear the reality of things at that point in time, right? Especially in this case, right? You got to be able to discern these things, right? So what did they do? They saw that he was very he grieved. His grief was very great, and they didn't know what to say to him, right? They just left it alone. They just left it alone for that moment and let him grieve. But y'all got to understand what was going on in their mind, what they wanted to say, right? What they've been thinking about all this time, and your friends should not have that in their mind either. But what they was thinking about all this time that made them respond after a while, brothers and sisters. And like, once again, this man's children died, so they shouldn't have done this, right? So let's go see that. Let's go to Job, the 4th chapter. Job, the 4th chapter. Job, the 4th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Job, the 4th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 1. Job 4 and verse 1. Now, once again, they started off right. Remember what I showed you in Colossians. These are the things that you must have, the characteristics that you must have in order to show yourself as a friend. Long suffering. You got to be humbleness in mind, kindness, bowels of mercy, forbearing one another, forgiving one another, and having charity. All of these things come along with being a true friend, brothers and sisters, and discerning what a true friend is, right? But once again, they started off right? They started off, they came to comfort him, they came to mourn with him, and then they saw that his grief was great, so I'm not even going to say nothing to him right now, but look at the thoughts that was lingering in their mind, brothers and sisters, right? 4 and 1, Job 4 and 1. And verse 1 reads, Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? So he's sitting there like, man, I know you sitting here grieving, but man, I got something to say, right? And this wasn't the right thing to say at this time, brothers and sisters. And it's going to show when the Lord steps in. Now, when the Lord steps in, you know you're wrong. If the Lord feels like you're wrong, you wrong. Ain't no arguing it, right? So he couldn't hold his mouth anymore. And he said, man, if we're going to commune with thee, when you're in your grief, can we withhold him? How can somebody withhold himself without speaking? I got something to say, right? Let's see what he said. Verse 3, behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that is falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest, it touches thee, and thou art troubled. This is what you're going to say to your friend that just lost his children. Skip all the material stuff, right? He was upset about that too. But the man lost all of his children. So you're going to sit here and tell them, look, you done sat there and gave counsel to people. You told them to stay strong. You gave them strength, right? You weakened the feeble knees. You strengthened the feeble knees, rather. And now it's coming upon you, right? So now you want to be troubled and it's coming upon you. Sounds like he's trying to call him out to be a hypocrite. Now, is that what you need? Is that what you're going to do to your friend in this type of affliction, brothers and sisters? Right? You're going to call him out to be a hypocrite because now he's down about something. He didn't went around and he tried to make things easier for people in their affliction. He tried to comfort them in their affliction. Now his friend coming up to him like, man, I'm sorry. Look, I know you're grieving, but I got to say something. Now you sitting here and you all upset about what happened to you, but you were the one that went out there telling people to stay strong, making sure that they stay comforted, all that, making sure they kept pushing. Now that it comes upon you, now you want to complain and do all that. That's sometimes you should just keep your mouth shut, right? And let that person vent and let that person mourn, brothers and sisters, right? If you're going to mourn with somebody, mourn with them. Don't call them out and say that they shouldn't feel upset because they've been helping other people out. That don't make no sense, right? That's not what a friend does, right? Let us continue. Verse 6, is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope in the uprightness of thy ways, right? Isn't this your way? Isn't this you're confident that you're such a strong individual and that you hold your own, right? Isn't this the uprightness of your ways, right? Then he says, verse 7, remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent. So now he gonna get into, man, you must have did something. Like I have never seen nobody go through all this affliction and they did nothing. I know God got to be punishing you, right? But that wasn't the case in this particular situation, brothers and sisters, right? And that might not be the case with your friend in a particular situation. God could be actually showing the devil, and this is deep, brothers and sisters. God could actually be showing the devil and proving to the devil that you are more righteous and you are more upright and perfect in his eyes as opposed to what the devil is trying to make him believe and make him see about you, right? That's what was going on in this particular case. But his friends didn't see that. They didn't have an answer for him. They didn't have a word of comfort. He came in the gate, brothers and sisters, accusing him and calling him out to be a hypocrite because now he's upset because now the affliction has come upon him. Is that somebody you want to deal with? No, and then you got to look at that. Like if my so-called friend wants to come in and automatically just get to jumping on me and don't want to actually mourn with me and comfort me, this is not comfort. That seems fake, don't it? You were thinking about this before you even said anything. When you came to mourn and comfort me, this was going on in your mind. Right? To tell me about myself, to call me out to being a hypocrite, and now you're accusing me of not even being innocent. I must have did something wrong, right? Let us continue in the middle of verse 7. Or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. So, and then he not directly even telling him. This is indirectly telling him, you did something. You did some iniquity, right? So he's building up a case where there is no case, right? Like you got to have done something, right? Verse 9. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed, right? So, like I said, you must have done something, and this is why God is afflicting you. That's, man, that's not the type of friend I would want around me, brothers and sisters. Now, if I'm doing something wrong, am I actually doing something wrong? Yes, I expect my friend to correct me, but you have no proof on what is going on, and your first reaction, your first response was to condemn your friend. That doesn't even seem like it was genuine to come in to mourn and comfort you, because you didn't mourn and comfort with me. You didn't mourn with me and you didn't comfort me. You came and you accused me and condemned me. And this is what you don't want to do with your friends, brothers and sisters. Now, let's go see how Job was responding to this, right? Let's go to Job chapter 6. Job, the 6th chapter. Shalom, shalom to you, bro. Shalom to you. Job chapter 6, and we're going to start at verse 1. Job chapter 6, and we are going to start at verse 1. Now, another thing that you don't want to do, brothers and sisters, I'm pointing this out, is if you don't have an answer and you don't know the situation, don't do this with your friends. And you know why? Because then they're going to start putting that poison into their minds, right? And God don't even have no quarrel with them, yet they're going to sit there. They're going to sit there and just be in their sorrow, something that ain't even in reality, right? And this is what Job is going to discuss, right? Job 6 and verse 1. Job 6 and verse 1. And verse 1 reads, "But Job answered and said, Oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balance together. For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea, therefore my words are swallowed up. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me, the poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me." And this is what was on his mind, brothers and sisters. He thought God was against him, when in our actuality, it was the complete opposite. But his friends didn't help the situation because they came in condemning him, right? So like I said, if you don't have no proof of somebody's situation, don't just come in with the negative stuff. You point that out, the stuff that they are doing, brothers and sisters, you point that out and you do it constructively, because it's supposed to build them back up. And if they are in error, you're supposed to come with meekness to bring them back to their fold, brothers and sisters, right? To bring them back on the right path. That's what you want from your friend. You want them to, even when you're giving them constructive criticism, the purpose is to put them back on the right path, right? Now, since he had this on his mind, let's see what else Job had said, right? Let's skip down to verse 14. Skip down to verse 14. And verse 14 is, "To him that is afflicted, pity should be showed from his friend." Right? Because he's sitting there like, man, my friend just condemned me in my affliction, and I didn't do nothing wrong. Right? And that's what his first response was. He said, man, I can't, look, we've been here, I know you grieving, but I just got to say something. You must have did something bogus. And you being a hypocrite, because you go out there telling people that they should be strong and do all this and not mourn and not grieve and not be down, but then you sitting here doing it. Isn't this the confidence that you have? Isn't this how you live your life, basically what he's telling me? Like, damn, you gonna say that to me in my affliction? And once again, brothers and sisters, the man's children died. This is what tripped me out. The man, you don't have sympathy for a man who's mourning over the death of his children, brothers and sisters. Right? So he said, to him that is afflicted, pity should be showed from his friend, but he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. And that's what his friend did. He didn't fear God to give him the right answer. He came in with condemnation without evidence of iniquity. And that's what you're basically bearing false witness, brothers and sisters, right? And you don't want to do that to somebody you say is your friend, right? So let us continue. We're going to go into more of what this so-called friend said, because that's not the only thing he said, right? Let's go to Job, the 15th chapter. Oh, it gets worse, right? And if you doing this to your friends, you need to stop it, right? Excuse me, you need to stop, right? And remind yourself not to do it in the future. And I'm reminding myself as well, brothers and sisters, we don't fake the funk. Or we're not one-sided over here, right? When we tell others, we gonna definitely tell ourselves, right? That's what we got to do as servants of God. Job, the 15th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Job, the 15th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Shalom to all that came in here. Shalom to you. Job 15 and verse 1. And verse 1 reads, Then answered Eliphaz the Temanite, and said, Should a wise man utter vain knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? See, this dude need to go somewhere, right? Like, because he's coming in with all the negative, right? Should a wise man utter vain knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind, right? Verse 3. Should he reason with unprofitable talk, or with speeches wherewith he can do no good? Going back to what Job was saying, all the stuff that he was saying, all this negative stuff he was saying about himself, this is vain knowledge that you're saying. This is the vain things that are coming out of your mouth, right? And in your belly. This is filled with your belly. But he's in his affliction, right? So why would you say this to your friend, right? Verse 4. Yea, thou castest off fear and restraineth prayer before God. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Like, based on your conversation, now I know you did something wrong. Now I know you're in iniquity. But he didn't know nothing, brothers and sisters, right? There was no proof that Job did anything. He was just speaking from his afflicted state. Right? And this is what his friend did. Now, if I had a friend like this, like, you got to go, right? That's how I'm going to feel, right? That's how naturally I'm going to feel. But we're going to also see what type of friend Job was, even when his friends were condemning him. And this is another characteristic that you must have with your friends, brothers and sisters. It said, when we went to Colossians, it said you're supposed to forbear one another and forgive one another, right? And we're going to see that Job did that very thing, right? Let's continue. Verse 6, Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I, yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Art thou the first man that was born, or wast thou made before the hills? Now he's getting into, like, you weren't the first man that was born. You weren't the first man that was that's suffering affliction. Like, everybody goes through that. Why are you so upset, right? Once again, the man lost his children, right? I'm not going to get off of that because this is just something like, I can't do that to my friend. Like, if I know that they lost their kids, right? And then all the other stuff that they lost, why would I come in like this, right? But as we're going to see, his friends going to get punished for this, brothers and sisters, because they didn't speak the right things to him, right? Let us continue. Verse 8. Hast thou heard the secret of God, and dost thou restrain wisdom in thyself? So it's almost like, do you got a secret relationship with God? That he's giving you knowledge that he's not giving us. And with this knowledge, are you holding it in? Are you holding it in to keep for yourself, right? So this is what he's asking him, right? Verse 9. What knowest thou? What knowest thou that we know not? And what understandest thou which is not in us? And I'm gonna keep it real. When I read this stuff, brothers and sisters, it sounds like it's some little jealousy going on with Job and his friends, seeing that he was prospering the way he was, and people and people that are pretending to be your friend, they're gonna look at you prospering, brothers and sisters, and they ain't gonna like you, right? They ain't gonna wait for the perfect opportunity, just like Eliphaz did. They're going to wait for the perfect opportunity to knock you down, brothers and sisters. And you automatically know that that is a red flag. You're not dealing with a true friend, right? So he's saying all of this, and it's like, but why? Like, I'm just mourning. Like, I feel bad. This is what's going on. Things keep happening to me. Why on earth are you saying these things to me, right? Verse 10. With us are both the gray-headed and very aged men, much elder than thy father, right? So we with the men of wisdom. What you think you doing? We're with the aged men and the elders, and we got the answers. We got the answers too. So it's nothing that you're getting that you understand that we don't understand, right? This ain't no competition. It's like he's trying to compete on who should mourn the most, right? And that's not necessary, right? Let us keep going. Verse 11. Are the consolations of God small with thee? Is there any secret thing with thee? Why doth thine heart carry thee away? And what do thy eyes wink at? That thou turnest thy spirit against God, and lettest such words go out of thy mouth. Now he's accusing them of turning away from God, because he's speaking out of his afflicted state. Brothers and sisters, you don't need no friend like that. You don't need no friend. You need somebody, yeah, they're going to keep it real, but they know when to tell you, right? And they know how to be constructive to put you back on the right path. This is destructive criticism he's giving Job. Destructive criticism. Something that's going to make him keep thinking the Most High is against him, like he thought in chapter 6. He thought the Most High was against him. He thought the poison of the Most High came upon him, right? And that was not the case. Once again, the Most High loved Job. He was bragging to the devil about Job, how he was a perfect and upright man, and nobody is like him, right? And he could be saying that same thing about you. That's why you got to have it in your head, man, when I'm dealing with a friend and their affliction, let me make sure that's my first thought. Man, God could be testing them by bragging to the devil about how good he thinks this person is. And the devil like, nah, I bet you I can get them to curse you. See, that's you got to remember, brothers and sisters, it's not always a punishment, right? And I tell brothers and sisters all the time, it's either the test from God, or it's a punishment from God, or it's Satan's attacks, the devil's attacks. The devil's attacking you, God is testing you, or God is punishing you, right? And God punishes you by using the devil. So he's all in the mix. But most importantly, brothers and sisters, if you don't have evidence of any iniquity to your friend, you should not be opening your mouth. And even if you do have evidence on their iniquity, you should come to them in meekness to retrieve your brother and put them back on the right path. Constructive criticism, not destructive criticism, right? Let us continue. Now we're going to Job, the 32nd chapter. Job, the 32nd chapter. Job, the 32nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Job, the 32nd chapter, and we are going to start at verse 1. And now we finna bring in to the fact that the Most High recognized the same thing, and he was not happy about it, right? Not at all. Job 32 and verse 1. 32 and 1. And verse 1 reads, so these three men ceased to answer Job because of he was righteous in his own eyes, or so they thought, right? So you got more jealousy coming on. He just righteous in his own eyes. Now, Job was really a upright and righteous man who suffered affliction, brothers and sisters. We got to know the difference when a man is speaking from his affliction. He didn't curse God, but he's speaking from his affliction, and that's what you pay attention to. This man going through all this still hadn't cursed God, right? So I'm going to make sure he's uplifted, knowing that God is still with him in this process, brothers and sisters, right? Let us continue. Verse 2. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the kindred of Ram. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. Verse 3. Also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer and yet had condemned Job. So they didn't have, like, once again, brothers and sisters, they didn't have no evidence of what this man did, but yet they condemned him. So guess what? The wrath of the Most High was upon them now, right? The wrath of God was upon them. Why? Because they unrighteously condemned their friend. Now you got to look at that, brothers and sisters. The Most High's wrath will come upon you if you unrighteously judge somebody for a situation that they're in. He will get action, and that's your friend, right? You don't want to do your friend like that, brothers and sisters. That is not true friendship, right? Now, let us continue. Now, even while Job was suffering in his affliction and his friends condemned him, brothers and sisters, let's go see what Job did, right? Because remember, the wrath of God is kindled against his 3 friends, right? Let's go to Job, the 42nd chapter. Job, the 42nd chapter. Job, the 42nd chapter, and we are going to start at verse 7. Shalom, shalom, brother. Shalom, my big brother. Hebrews in the hood, we in here. Verse 7. Job 42 and verse 7. Job 42 and verse 7. Job 42 and verse 7. And verse 7 reads, and it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, that the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy 2 friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Now he's actually defending Job, because Job didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong against me. Yeah, I have to straighten him up about little things, but the big things is he did not curse me. He did not go against me. And y'all didn't condemn this man and did not speak the right things that you were supposed to speak to your friend, right? You just came in the gate condemning him, right? Let us continue. Verse 8. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that ye have spoken of me the thing which is, ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. Once again, he's petitioning that Job was still doing the right thing in his affliction, right? And Eliphaz, I know he got a lesson learned, because he was talking about, I ain't never seen nobody go through this much affliction and they didn't do no iniquity, right? That's not for you to call, brothers and sisters, right? That is not for you to call. So we understand now that you can be tested by God, because he's bragging, petitioning to you, to the devil who is talking down on you, who is your accuser. Your accuser is the devil. He's going to sit there and go to God and try to get God to see a different perspective of you that he already sees, which is good, brothers and sisters, right? But now he's making them go back to Job to offer burnt offerings, so that his wrath will not be kindled upon him. And this is another thing that you have to do. Even when y'all friends are condemning you, brothers and sisters, this is going back to when Christ said, love your enemies and pray for those that despitefully use you. That was your enemies, brothers and sisters. He dealing with his friends. So you know you're going to want to do that with your friends, brothers and sisters. He said, you're going to offer this burnt offering, give it to Job, because I'm going to accept it from Job, right? And let's continue. Verse 9. So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Neamathite went and did according to as the Lord commanded them. The Lord also accepted Job. And the Lord returned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Right? When he prayed for his friends, also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. So Job wasn't like, nah, skip you. You want to condemn me? You want to sit here and throw me to the curb and say all these things? Tell me the Most High and is punishing me and got me thinking all these thoughts? You know what? I ain't praying for nothing. You go ahead and deal with your punishment. Job didn't do that, brothers and sisters. He did not do that. He did exactly what the Most High would want him to do. And he prayed for his friends to get the wrath of God off of his friends. Because guess what? Job showed himself to be a true friend, brothers and sisters. Right? And because he prayed for his friends, he turned his captivity away from him. Right? I want to point out that Job's friend was an Edomite too. But I'm not gonna go into that, right? So he still had him do that to his Edomite friend, brothers and sisters. So let's point that out too. All these, we want to hate the other nations so much. This was a stranger. This was another nation, and the Lord still had Job do this. So I just wanted to point that out, and that was his friend too. So let us continue. Let us go to Proverbs, the 16th chapter. Proverbs, the 16th chapter. Proverbs, the 16th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 28. Proverbs, the 15th chapter, and we're 16th, I'm sorry. Proverbs, the 16th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 28. Proverbs 16 and verse 28. And verse 28 reads, a forward man soweth strife, and a whisperer separateth chief friends. So you know somebody that's constantly rebelling and constantly in a state of disobedience, brother and sister, is a forward man. That's why he sows strife, right? And a whisperer separateth chief friends. Now this person, you see that your friends got an altercation. You going back to one friend and playing one side, and you going back to the other friend playing one side, and then all of a sudden, now something that wasn't as big has become bigger. Why? Because you want to talk behind people's back. They said that those people, those whisperers, those people that talk behind each other's back, they separated chief friends. So you know you can't be talking behind your friend's back. Right? If you ain't going to go to them to try to fix the situation, why are you talking behind their back? Right? Excuse me. So, because I know we all have friends, brothers and sisters, that we talk to with our other friends, but it's a difference between us having a conversation about our friend and we want to help fix the situation versus now I'm going to this friend to say something negative about this person over here, get them to look at that person differently. Same thing I'm gonna do with this friend. Now they enemies towards each other because I'm in the back. I'm in the back. What's the word I'm trying to say? Right. I'm behind the scenes. That's what I was trying to say. I'm behind the scenes, going back and forth, causing strife between these two, and they don't even know that I'm doing it. Why? Because I'm whispering. I'm being sneaky about it. Right. So he said a chief whisperer, or a whisperer separateth chief friends, right? Let's continue. Verse 29. A violent man enticeth his neighbor and leadeth him into a way that is not good. So you know you don't want to be friends with a violent man. Why? Because he's going to entice you and lead you somewhere that is not good, brothers and sisters. You don't want to have a violent man as a friend. You don't want to have a forward man as a friend. Background. Thanks, sis. Background. Or behind the scenes. Thank you for that. I got stuck on that. But yeah, brothers and sisters, these are not the type of people that you want as your friends, brothers and sisters, right? And once again, sometimes your friends can make mistakes, right? Just like in the situation with Job. But if you're the type of person that will forgive and still pray for them, and they see this, right? What did you just do? You just killed them with kindness, right? You just killed them with kindness to the point where they'll start feeling guilty and then want to repair the situation. Do anything to reverse what they have done, brothers and sisters, right? That's how you know if you're dealing with a true friend, right? We all make mistakes, but who's going to be the one that wants to fix the mistakes that have been made, right? Let us continue. Let's go to Proverbs, the 17th chapter now. Proverbs, the 17th chapter. Proverbs, the 17th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 9. Yeah. Proverbs, the 17th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 9. Proverbs 17 and verse 9. And verse 9 reads, He that covereth a transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends. Once again, I just said this, brothers and sisters, right? That if that friend is willing to make the situation right, do whatever they need to do to make the situation right, reverse the mistake that they just did, they seeketh after love, right? But the person that keeps repeating the offense, he's going to separate those very friends, right? So you know a person that is repeating the offense that they made over and over and over again, that is not your friend, brothers and sisters, right? And you need to get that person from around you. Now, we all get attached to people, and we hope and have an idea of what we want a person to be like, right? I got a connection with this person that I want to be my friend, but if they don't have these qualifications, brothers and sisters, if they don't have these characteristics, you need to get rid of them, right? If they will not fix the situation, you need to get rid of them, right? That is the situation. That is the reality, brothers and sisters, right? Let us skip down to verse 17. Verse 17. And verse 17 reads, A friend loveth at all times. Y'all hear that? A friend loveth at all times. And a brother is born for adversity. So the affliction that you're going through, brothers and sisters, a friend, a brother that is born for adversity, is born to go through affliction with you, brothers and sisters. That's the person you want in your circle, right? You don't want all of these fakes and phonies in your circle, brothers and sisters, right? Because they ain't going to do nothing to make your life miserable. And that confusion, all type of stuff going to come in your life if you got these people in your life, brothers and sisters, right? So a friend, once again, brothers and sisters, a friend loveth at all times. Not some of the time, all times. Not majority of the time, all times, brothers and sisters. But you got to give them room to make mistakes. That's why you must forgive one another when it happens. That's why when you have a quarrel with somebody, you go to them alone and you fix the situation. And it should not leave that place. It should not leave the two of you to the point where now it's causing friction in your friendship. It shouldn't, right? Let us continue. Now we're going to Proverbs, the 18th chapter. Next chapter. Proverbs 18. Proverbs, the 18th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 24. Proverbs, the 18th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 24. Proverbs 8 and 24. And verse 24 reads, A man that hath friends must show himself friendly. That is a given. Now, if you're not showing yourself, how you going like friend is in the word friendly. So how you not going to show yourself friendly? You want a friend, right? Let us continue. And there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother, brothers and sisters, right? Now, you know how we always say there's a difference between family and relatives? I truly believe that, right? Family is the one that's going to love you at all times. Family the one that's going to be there for you. Family the ones when mistakes happen, they're going to fix it, all of that, right? Family the one you can count on. Your relatives are just your blood, right? And that that only goes so far, brothers and sisters, right? Just because you my blood don't mean you my family, right? That's why it says that there is a brother that sticketh closer. There is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Because the Most High knows that there are friends out here that are going to be closer than your family. He knows that, brothers and sisters, right? That is just a natural part of life, right? So let us continue. Now we're going to Psalms 133. Psalms 133. Psalms 133, and we're going to start at verse 1. Psalms 133, and we are going to start at verse 1. And this is the ultimate, brothers and sisters, right? Like I said, the inspiration came from the fact that I see Israel in so much division, brothers and sisters, right? And this is something that we need to understand. The qualifications to be a servant of God is the same qualifications you need to have friends, to show yourself to be friendly, right? And if you don't require this from people, brothers and sisters, you got to check your state of being, your self-esteem. Because if you don't demand this, you're going to get some messed up people in your life, right? You sure ain't going to get no friends. You're going to get somebody, you ain't going to get no friends, though, right? So this is what we want to remind ourselves every time we get together, or even when we're apart from each other, brothers and sisters. It don't need to be where we're always in sight of each other, right? Psalms 133, and we're going to start at verse 1. 133 and 1. And verse 1 reads, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." That is the best feeling of all, brothers and sisters. I know with my brothers, and when we sit down and we dwell, the unity is you can't compare it, right? The unity is incomparable, brothers and sisters, right? I don't like the brothers that I have around me. They set the tone for all the other people that come in my life, brothers and sisters. If you're not like these brothers, I don't want to deal with you. If we don't have a certain vibe with each other, and there's not certain things going on where, by definition, biblical definition, you are a brother, there's no need for us to be around each other, right? You need to get the dead weight off your shoulders, brothers and sisters. It's going to bring you down. That's the point of all this, right? So he said, "How good and how pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity? It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garments." You see the comparison? Right? My beard ain't got nothing on Aaron's beard, right? But all the way down to the garments, brothers and sisters, the ointment will drip down to the garments. That's how you want to dwell in unity, right? That's how precious the ointment is on the beard, brothers and sisters, right? That's how your relationship should be with each other, right? Our relationship should be with each other, right? Verse 3, "As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commanded the blessings, even life forevermore." So it compares it to the blessings the Lord is giving to his people, right? And you got to understand that, brothers and sisters. Unity is the way to go. Now, of course, we know this is not a reality for all of Israel. It's just not going to happen, right? But the things in your personal life, make sure you apply this in your life and see what happens. It's got to start from you first, brothers and sisters, right? You can't expect nothing to happen if it doesn't start from you first, right? And that's what we got to get in our head, right? Let us continue. Let's go back to Proverbs, the 27th chapter. Proverbs, the 27th chapter. Proverbs the 27th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 5. Proverbs the 27th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 5. 27 and verse 5. And verse 5 reads, open rebuke is better than secret love. Like them, get rid of them yes men. That's what it's telling you. Open rebuke is better than secret love. I know one thing, my brothers better not be around here being no yes men. And I know they not, right? They gonna tell me about myself when it is necessary and vice versa. But we do this out of love to put each other on the right path, brothers and sisters. You want somebody to give you open rebuke, not secret love. And why is that? Verse 6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Take them cuts. Be strong, be diligent. Take them cuts and correct yourself, right? Get yourself on the right path, right? Let's continue. In the middle of verse 6, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful, right? So the enemy gonna kiss those flatteries, brothers and sisters. Those are enemies that you are dealing with. When they want to flatter you with these words, and it's secret love, but they know that you need to be told about yourself, right? So that's nothing you want to deal with, right? That is deceitful. When somebody is not giving you open rebuke, that is not your brother, brothers and sisters, at all. That is not your brother. That's not who you want to deal with, right? Let us continue. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9. And verse 9 reads, ointment and perfume rejoices the heart. So does the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel, right? A man, you haven't done anything for this friend to give you this counsel. They're doing it from the kindness of their own heart because they love you, brothers and sisters, right? You haven't done, that's what the Lord is doing for us. We ain't done nothing for him to love us. But guess what? He considers us as a friend, but we have to do the things that don't offend him, just like any other friend. If it offends him and you keep doing it, you ain't sorry. You're not sorry, brothers and sisters. If he's a friend and this is what he wants for you to respect him and be obedient to him, because it's another level with him, right? Then you're not his friend. That's the simple, and you need to put that as a qualification for yourself. If this offends me and I tell this person and they keep doing it, then they're not my friend. And I don't need to be dealing with them, period, right? Let us continue. Verse 10. Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not. Neither go into thy brother's house in the day of calamity, for better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. Brother said, ain't that what happened to Job? Like, if you're not going to come in and really comfort and warn this brother, don't even go into his house. What are you there for? Right? That don't make no sense. What are you there for, brothers and sisters, right? Let us skip down to verse 17. Verse 17. It says, iron sharper than iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. And of course, when we're growing in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, brothers and sisters, you don't want to hold your jewels back from your friends, brothers and sisters. That's who you really want to tell. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's who you really want to give your jewels. That's who you really want to sharpen, the people that are around you. Yeah, you want to make sure that you, especially my teachers, you want to make sure that you give as much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as possible for people to get salvation. But your friends, you definitely want to sharpen them because they're around you. To some degree, they represent you, and you represent them because you with them, right? So a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Basically, you're going to make sure your friend ain't walking around being a dummy, right? You want to make sure he's wise just like you are, brothers and sisters, right? Let us continue. Let us go to Romans, the 12th chapter. Romans, the 12th chapter. Romans, the 12th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 9. Romans, the 12th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 9. Romans 12 and verse 9. 12 and verse 9. And verse 9 reads, let love be without dissimulation, brothers and sisters. It's a lot of people that got an agenda behind the love that they give, right? So don't let your love a person without hidden agendas and motives, brothers and sisters. That's what dissimulation is. Hidden agendas, that ain't going to get you nowhere, brothers and sisters. That's fake love, right? That's what he's saying. It says, abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love. So you must have this qualification to be a servant of God in general. But you want to do this especially with your friends, brothers and sisters. Right? This is how you show yourself to have true friendship. Right? Based on the qualifications of your character, brothers and sisters, or the character that you have. Right? So you want to be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another, right? You want to love without dissimulation or hidden motives and agendas. Abhor or really hate that which is evil and cleave to that which is good. Here's a big one, because I don't think people realize this one. It says, verse 11, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Anybody, I can speak for personal experience, brothers and sisters. Anybody telling you that you and your friend can't do business together, that is not true. That's not your friend, right? Your friend don't want to be slothful in business, or they're going to cleave to that which is good, whether it's business or personal. I got a friend, we have done, they probably on here, but we have done business together, and he was one of my best customers. He wasn't trying to dilute my value when it came to my craft, brothers and sisters. He treated me like somebody else. He treated me like someone that had a building that he didn't know, and he was going in there to buy some merchandise from that place. That's how he treated me. So your friend, if you got real friends, brothers and sisters, they can do business with you. It depends on the people you're dealing with. Right? I just wanted to throw that out there, right? Let us continue. Let's go to John, the 15th chapter. John, the 15th chapter. John, the 15th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 9. John, the 15th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 9. John 15 and verse 9. Now let's see what Christ said about friendship, right? John 15 and verse 9. And verse 9 reads, as the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love, right? Verse 11, these things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. So you got to love each other like Christ loved you. And Christ loved you based on the Father's love. So it's a trickling down, right? The ultimate love being the Father, then Christ, then coming down to us, right? So we should be representing that love to the utmost, brothers and sisters, right? And what is that love? Keeping and doing his commandments. And if you do that, you will show yourself to be a true friend if you have all the other qualifications. The long suffering, the mercy, the charity, the forgiving, the forbearing, all of these things with the commandments as well, brothers and sisters, right? The fruits of the Spirit. You got to have all of it to show yourself to be a true friend, brothers and sisters, right? Let us continue. Verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this. This is the ultimate sign of friendship. And a lot of us, heck, I even got to question myself on this, right? And I'm going to keep it real, right? It says, greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends, right? That is the ultimate. We don't even think about things like this, brothers and sisters, right? Laying down your life to show that you have true friendship. You will lay down your life for your friends, brothers and sisters, right? Didn't Christ lay down his life for us? We have to love one another that exact same way, right? And practice makes perfect, brothers and sisters, right? Even if you don't feel like you're there now, keep practicing. You will get there, right? I promise you'll get there. If you want to get there, you'll get there, right? Verse 14. Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you, right? So everything the Father said, brothers and sisters, he's made known unto us, right? Because sometimes the king, he don't bother to tell his servants everything that's going on. But that's not the case with our king. That's not the case with King Jesus. You see what I'm saying? He gonna tell you everything the Father has given him to tell, brothers and sisters, right? That's why he deemed us as a friend. You see how his relationship was with Abraham. That was just like his homie, right? So that's how we should be with each other, brothers and sisters. Real talk. That's how we should be with each other. So let us is that it? No, my bad. Let us continue. Verse 16. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of my Father in my name, he may give it to you, right? You got to know that this is the way to go, brothers and sisters, right? You must show fruit, good fruit that will remain in you. So whatever you ask of the Father in his name, it will be given unto you, brothers and sisters, right? Verse 17, these things I command you, that ye love one another. And that's what it is, right? You are commanded, brothers and sisters, to love one another. Commanded to love one another, right? And we should not make it that hard, because his commandments are not grievous, right? We make this more complicated than it has to be, brothers and sisters, right? Let's keep going. Let's go to Proverbs, the 22nd chapter. Proverbs, the 22nd chapter. Proverbs, the 22nd chapter, and we are going to start at verse 24. Proverbs, the 22nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 24. Proverbs 22 and verse 24. And 24. And verse 24 reads, make no friendship with an angry man. So remember, we showed why an angry man 9 times out of 10 is going to be a violent man, brothers and sisters. And why don't you want to make friends with this type of man? Because he's going to lead you in the wrong direction, right? And with this angry man, another thing about this angry man is this. It says, make no friends with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare on thy soul. So his ways going to start rubbing off on you. Right? So you don't want to be in the presence of this angry, furious, and violent man. Because once again, his ways are going to start rubbing off on you, and he's going to lead you in a way that's not good. And then you're going to start doing that with other people. Right? So you don't want to be friends with this type of person, brothers and sisters, right? So this is all part of your discernment to discern what true friendship is, so you don't keep being attached to people that ain't no good for you. Right? We have the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding to be able to have joy in our life, brothers and sisters. We don't have to keep suffering based on our own lack of discernment, right? We must learn these things and apply them to our everyday living, right? That's what we must do. Let us continue. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter. Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter. Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter. Yeah, it definitely can be contagious. Real contagious. Real contagious. You'll start becoming that angry man and not even realizing what's going on with you. That's because you keep being friends with them type of people, right? Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter and verse 9. Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 9. Ecclesiastes 4 and verse 9. And verse 9 reads, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he have not another to help him. So this is for the people that think they don't necessarily need friends, and I would suggest you can reconsider that, brothers and sisters, right? Because to have a real friend, you got Jesus as a real friend. You don't think he's going to bring a physical, earthly real friend to you, brothers and sisters? It says 2 are better than 1. And then it says, woe unto him that is alone when he falleth. You need people to be there to help you, brothers and sisters. You do. We need each other. That's what we need to get to this point of, why are we so divided when we really need each other, right? I know I need y'all. I need all the people that want to be my true friend. I need y'all, right? I cannot do this by myself, because if I fall, I need somebody to be there to carry me. I can't do this thing on my own, right? And you're a fool to think that you can do this on your own. You're a fool to think you can walk this walk on your own and the devil ain't going to make you fall, right? Yes, he is. But you want to fall and get back up. But when you got 2 there, when you got a true friend there with you, it's easier to get back up, brothers and sisters. That's what you got to realize, right? Let us continue. Verse 11. Again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one warm alone? Right? So if 2 are together, they have heat. But how can somebody warm themselves when they by themselves? Right? These are true things that we must keep in mind, brothers and sisters, right? Let us continue. Verse 12. And if one prevaileth against him, 2 shall withstand him, and threefold cord is not quickly broken, right? So if somebody is coming against you and trying to attack you, right? One person, he probably gonna get knocked down, right? 2 people will be able to withstand, but that threefold is not quickly broken, right? So it's going to be harder. The more people you got on your side, it's going to be harder to be able to take you down and bring you down, brothers and sisters, because they're constantly lifting you back up. They're constantly helping you in your time of affliction, right? So all of these things you want to be able to keep with you, brothers and sisters, so when you interact with people, you will know who to deal with when it comes to true friendship, brothers and sisters, right? Remember, they got to love you like Christ loves you. Otherwise, you're not being as valued as you want to be, right? They got to love you like Christ loves you. That is the qualification of that true friendship, brothers and sisters, right? Now, let us go see this last example, and this is a crazy example, brothers and sisters. I love this example, and I'm finna kill a doctrine that people always want to use for this, and it really my bad, I got a call. So it really irritates me, brothers and sisters. However, I understand that when you want to see something in the book to not do this and to justify your actions, you're going to see whatever, brothers and sisters. And these people probably don't know what true friendship is. That's why they look at it like this, right? So let's go look at that. Let's go to 1 Samuel 18. We're going to look at the friendship between David and Jonathan, right? David and Jonathan got a dope friendship. Dope friendship, brothers and sisters. 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter. 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter. 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter. And we are going to start at verse 1. 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. 1 Samuel 18 and verse 1. 18 and 1. And verse 1 reads, "And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David," right? They were knit together, brothers and sisters. That's how strong their friendship was. And we're going to see this explained more in detail, right? Let's continue. "And Jonathan loved him as his own soul," right? Isn't that a commandment? To love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? So he loved David as his own soul, brothers and sisters, right? Verse 2. "And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword and his bow and to his girdle." Now you see that Saul, we're going to get into it. Saul was trying to kill David, and Saul is Jonathan's father. So he was so close to Jonathan, he was so close to David, brothers and sisters, Jonathan, that he went around and against his own father because he knew that his friend was in the right. He knew his father was wrong. And then he loved this man like his own soul, to the point where he will go against his father because he loves you and he knows you're in the right. Right? That is not playing respect of person. That is indeed not playing respect of person. This is a great example that we should follow, brothers and sisters, as far as true friendship is concerned. Job and Jonathan and David. These are great examples of that, brothers and sisters, right? Let us continue. Now let's go to 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter. 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter. 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 1. 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. (20:1). Yeah, Saul was a beast too, right? Exactly. 20:1. And verse 1 reads, "And David fled from Naioth in Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, What have I done? What is mine iniquity, and what is my sin before thy father?" So he didn't even know what he did for his father, for Saul to be against him as he was, brothers and sisters, right? And to the point where that he seeketh my life, right? Like, what have I done? This man trying to kill me. What did I do, right? Verse 2. "And he said unto him, God forbid that thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but that he will show it to me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? Is it not so?" Right? So obviously he's saying that it couldn't have been nothing because he would have told me. Right? He don't hide nothing from me, so I would have known these things and showed it unto you, right? So it couldn't have been. He basically said it could. Jonathan knew it couldn't have been nothing because he knew his father would have told him if David did something wrong, right? Verse 3. "And David sware moreover and said, Thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes. And he saith, Let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death," right? Because it's like if Saul catch him on the right day, he'll kill him, right? So it's a thin line between me and death how your father is coming after me trying to seek my life, right? Verse 4. Then said Jonathan unto David, whatsoever thy soul desireth, I will even do it for thee. So whatever you need, bro, I got you. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about what my father got going. I know it ain't nothing he would have told me. So whatever is going on, whatever you need, I done already made a covenant with you to look out for you, brothers. Like look at that, brothers and sisters. Right? And he loved him like his own soul. So, of course, if Jonathan didn't do nothing, he wouldn't want nobody else trying to kill him. He would want somebody to help him in a situation if he was in that situation. So he's going to do it to his boy or for his boy, right? And that's how we got to be for each other, right? That's how we got to be. Now let's go look at how David felt about Jonathan when he died, brothers and sisters. Let's go to 2 Samuel, the first chapter. 2 Samuel, the first chapter. 2 Samuel, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 23. 2 Samuel, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 23. And we got one more place after this, brothers and sisters. 2 Samuel, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 23. And verse 23 reads, Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet, with other delights, who putteth on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. And look at David. He still gave Saul the credit that he deserved. Though he seeked his life. Do you see the type of mind frame y'all got to have being true servants of God? This was a man after the Lord's own heart. Look at how his mindset was. Even though this man was trying to kill him, he still gave him the props that he deserved, brothers and sisters, right? And now he's finna get into Jonathan and his feelings about Jonathan, right? Verse 25. How art the mighty men fallen in the midst of the battle, O Jonathan? Thou wast slain in thine high places. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. He said, very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Now look at the comparison he's making it to, right? He said, and thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How art the mighty fallen and the weapons of war perish, right? Now let's deal with this, right? Because people at verse 26, brothers and sisters, people, especially my Kemetic brothers and sisters, I'm still going to call you my brothers and sisters because that's what you are. But they'll sit here and say that this is how you know they had a homosexual relationship. Why? Because he said that his love was passing, the love that he had passed the love of women, right? Now, if you have a spouse, 9 times out of 10, you're expecting your spouse to lay down their life for you. Especially my sisters with their husbands, right? He's the protector and the provider, right? But it got to the point, brothers and sisters, that he knew Jonathan would lay his life down for him. And this would pass the love of women, right? Because this is the friend that he was dealing with, right? So there are some people that are in marriages, brothers and sisters, that their spouse ain't going to lay their life down for them, right? And that's not happening in every single household, brothers and sisters, right? So this is what is going on. He loved this man like he loved his own soul, right? Like he loved himself. And this is not no homosexual crap, right? This is the type of love where this man was willing to lay down his life for his friend. Didn't we just read that? Right? I'm going to paraphrase it, but there is nothing like a friend that will lay down their life for you, brothers and sisters. Right? And yes, sometimes, in a man's point of view, sometimes that love is surpassing the love of a woman. Right? Because you got this person that you can always count on, that is never going to lead you astray, that is never going to send you down the wrong path, brothers and sisters, right? So that is what we have to understand. This was a friend. Now, no homosexual lover or nothing, but this was a brother. Remember, it said that a friend could be closer to you than a brother, than a family member, right? So if we seen that was in there, why would we look at this as homosexual acts? Because he said the love of women, right? It already said that a brother can be closer to you than a friend can be closer to you than a brother. So how can a friend can't be closer to you than a love of woman, right? Like these people probably ain't had them type of friends, and that's why they saying it. But like I said, they're just saying that to justify the folly that they want to do and to go against the commandments of the Most High God, brothers and sisters, right? So let's end this off. Let's go into the law, brothers and sisters. Let's go to Leviticus, the 19th chapter. This will be the last place. Leviticus, the 19th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 17. Leviticus, the 19th chapter, and we are going to start at verse 17. Let me get there. Leviticus 19 and verse 17. And verse 17 reads, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him." So once again, brothers and sisters, if your brother has done something that is a offense to you, go to him in private and deal with him, right? Don't suffer sin upon him. Give him a chance to redeem himself, right? That's another qualification with a friend. Give your friends a chance to redeem themselves. Then see what they'll do after that. If they show themselves to be friendly, they will redeem themselves, brothers and sisters. And you must forgive them at that point, right? Verse 17. Verse 18. I'm sorry. Verse 18. "Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord." Remember, he said this was the second greatest commandment, right? And there's things that go along with that. But this was the second greatest commandment, brothers and sisters, that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. You shall love your brother as yourself, your friend as yourself. Just like Jonathan did with David, just like David did with Jonathan, just like Job did with his friends that was condemning him in his affliction, brothers and sisters. So you got to realize that these are the qualifications that you need to show yourself to be a true friend, a true servant of the Most High God. Because he said you are supposed to love your brother like he loves you. And of course, he's your true friend. You got to understand this stuff. We got to apply this every day and keep practicing over and over until we get this thing right, brothers and sisters, right? So I hope y'all was edified out there. I really enjoyed this lesson myself. Sometimes I'll go through lessons, brothers and sisters, and I'll learn from my own lessons, right? Sometimes that happens, right? But of course, I give all honor and praises to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Holy One of Israel, who is Jesus. I am Cassius Israel, a.k.a. Shazak ben Yehuda. And of course, this is the Walls of Jericho, Biblical and Historical Studies, Hebrews in the Hood Entertainment. Catch us. We're going to be on the Wake Up Show this week. My brother Ozzy, if he's on there, we will be on the Wake Up Show this week again. So that's always a good thing, right? Brothers doing this thing in unity, putting this word out here, brothers and sisters. And of course, I thank you for your time, and shalom to you.